I will always continue to buy Cardano's native token called ADA, even after this board is over. And even though nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee, the reason for that is because even though I know that after this board is over, ADA is going to have a massive pullback. I totally understand that. We've seen that time and time again, and it even happened to ADA, during the last bull run, right? After it ended, of course. But even besides that point, what has ADA done since then? It's had a good recovery. Now, let's say ADA reaches the price of $10 during this bull run, has a massive pullback. Do I think that the next bull run it's going to go off into the abyss? No. I still think it's going to have a bright future, which is why even after, this bull run is over, let's say it stabilizes at a lower point than what it reached at its peak. Let's say it starts stabilizing around like $1, $2, whatever the case may be. I will still continue to accumulate ADA because I do believe that it has that good of a future. Now, some people may think that Cardano doesn't have a good future because they say, oh, wow, Cardano, it's a dinosaur. It's like a vintage car. It's like back then type of technology. That's not true, by the way. Many of the favorite layer 1 blockchains that people like as of right now, let's break this down, right? They like, for instance, Solana. They say, oh, it's so amazing. A lot of people like to FOMO into BNB. People like to say that Ethereum's fantastic. Well, here's the thing. First of all, if you take a look at the BNB smart chain ecosystem, just last year, according to Crypto.com research, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened that year actually occurred on there, which isn't great, by the way. I mean, you got to consider how massive the crypto space is overall. That's totally unacceptable in my opinion. It's pretty much complete caca. At least that's the way to take a look at it. Now, is that dynamic? I don't think so. Now, does BNB have more like, I would say a better reputation than something like, ADA as of right now? I would argue yes, because it has more fans, I would say. But then if you actually take a look at Cardano, because it's so amazing as a layer 1 blockchain, you don't see any of that type of nonsense. You know what I mean? Even though Cardano launched back then, it's very revolutionary when it launched back then. And it's still even having better fundamentals than many of the blockchains that launched after. So you got to consider just how amazing Cardano is and just how ahead of its time it really was when it launched. Now, you also take a look at Solana. Solana is a great layer 1 blockchain. I totally understand that. However, network outages has been, a complete nonsense issue, historically speaking. It's just not that dynamic in my opinion. And also, if you take a look at something like, for instance, Solana as well, its ecosystem really isn't that great, known for primarily being meme coins only. Now, of course, that's not the only thing it's known for, but most people know it for that. So that's kind of not good in my opinion. I'm not saying they're bad, but when you take a look at what Solana was hyped up to be, it's a major letdown. You know what I mean? When you take a look at something like Solana being so heavily VC backed, like venture capital backed, and then you see those network outages, right? And then you see the ecosystem, which I would argue really isn't that dynamic. Man, can you imagine how they're thinking? They're like, oh man, caralho, porra, what did we get ourselves into? Now, of course, they're probably not mad because Solana has done very well. But when you take a look at the longevity, Solana could lose out to some other layer 1 blockchains out there. And I'm not only just talking about Cardano. You take a look at, for instance, the Internet Computer, Casper, Algorand, Avalanche, they just have much better fundamentals than even Solana. So I think that when it comes to Solana, it's good as of right now, but let's say 5 years on the line, is it really that dynamic? I don't think so, in my opinion at least, unless they can fix all this type of stuff. But what I like about Cardano is that it doesn't really need any fixing. It's already good from the get-go. Now, the fans really isn't that much when compared to Solana. Exposure, I think, isn't that great when compared to Solana. I totally understand that. But then when it comes to Cardano, it's amazing in a sense that, it doesn't need all that flash, but it's already very good. And for the people who are in the know, I think they'll understand what I'm talking about because Cardano is very fast, very low gas fees, very scalable. By the way, these are traits that allegedly something like Ethereum doesn't really have in all aspects, right? When you take a look at something like Ethereum, when you take a look at the gas fees, it's complete caca. Let's face it. It's a no-bueno. I don't like that, Who wants to spend that much on gas fees? I don't. Now, also, you take a look at when it comes to Ethereum, is scalability often reported to be a problem? Yes, hypothetically. Now, there are Ethereum layer 2s, but come on, man. Ethereum like that, I just don't get it. It's even worse than Solana, in my opinion, arguably speaking. So when I take a look at Cardano, I just think it stands in a league of its own. For being like top 10, a lot of people like to consider Cardano like a top 10 blockchain. I would argue that it's arguably one of the best, when you think about it, right? Because why is something like Ethereum considered to be the best? It's not, in my opinion. Maybe the ecosystem and fans, but I think that doesn't determine the amazing fundamentals of something like you know, Cardano, right? Or Ethereum, I should say in this case, because it doesn't necessarily mean that Ethereum is automatically good, but it doesn't automatically mean that Cardano is bad either if it doesn't have the fans or hype like an Ethereum. When I take a look at Ethereum, it just feels a little bit overrated. It's like Baker Mayfield, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. We all know that Patrick Mahomes is way better. Now, a lot of the times people like to say that ADA has bad exposure, but I disagree on this one actually, because even though Cardano doesn't like advertise randomly for no reason, even though it's not that flashy, you got to consider how ADA, it does have great exposure in terms of being listed in many major exchanges. So I think as a result of that, not only is it going to do good during this bull run, hypothetically, ADA going to the price of $10, but also I think for the long term, it's going to allow for more people to be more dedicated and be a part of the Cardano community. Now, let's break this down also, right? Specifically, when it comes to this bull run, I don't know why $10 is too much to ask for. Considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $350 billion, over $200 billion less than Ethereum's all-time high market cap. I don't think it's too much to ask for. ADA doesn't have the best room for growth as of right now because $10 is actually around a 10x from here. Now, some people may say that, but if they've been actually watching my ADA videos from the beginning, the upside was a lot better back then. And I made a very good call on this. But I still haven't sold any ADA. So I really can't say like, oh yeah, I told you so, even though hypothetically I told you so. But still, I think ADA still has a ways to go. Bitcoin as of right now, a little bit of a pullback. It's only expected though, by the way. The journey to the top isn't going to be smooth sailing. Am I saying that Bitcoin is going to have this straight shot all the way to like $150,000 or like $200,000? I'm not saying that. But, I do believe that the trajectory could very well be positive when given some time. And I think ADA, is it going to have like zero pullbacks? I think there may be some pullbacks on the way to $10. It's only logical. But again, I have to take into consideration the trajectory and how I'm still up actually from when I talked about it. So yeah, that's the way I take a look at it. And I've been accumulating ADA ever since 2021. So the whole time, like 2022, 2023, and still even as of right now, by dollar cost averaging, during those boring times even, I was slowly but surely just making my average cost lower and lower and lower. And as of right now, it's looking so amazing, which is why, again, I do believe that Cardano, even despite all the doubters back then, it's still proving a lot of people wrong. And I think even during the next bull run, it's still going to prove people wrong, even though I think that during this bull run, Cardano could very well reach such an amazing level in which it would make it like a dinosaur, in the upcoming bull run. I totally understand that. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because I think if anything, if Cardano were to do that, it showcases why it's a good layer one blockchain and how it's still going to survive for the long term. So again, that's why I'm still buying ADA as of right now because it hasn't officially become a dinosaur yet. But when it does become a dinosaur, and let's say it has a pullback, I'm going to still acquire it because, I do believe in its long-term future. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.